Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Mercy. I am a 42-year-old corporate executive and I share tips and hacks for healing, growth and abundance here on YouTube. So before I got my life on track, I actually struggled for as long as I could remember with trauma, identity crisis, emotional dysregulation, yeah, you name it. And also the difficulties of adapting to new cultures and communities. And it was always so frustrating to see that others could focus on careers, achievements, and relationships, but I had to spend so much of my energy just to feel okay. But I've always believed in transformation and law of attraction, and one day I seem to have suddenly made the quantum leap. I found peace, stability, and finally started to attract abundance. Do you ever feel like something's holding you back in your journey? Like no matter how hard you push yourself to level up, to change your life, there's always an invisible force or a shadow that pulls you back. Well, I know that feeling because that shadow was my constant companion. And in my very turbulent journey, I've learned that just by pushing yourself to charge forward doesn't lead to the ultimate transformation. And my breakthrough only came after I discovered 3 things for healing and growth. 3 very important things that many of us overlook. That's what I'm going to share with you today. Let's start with the first one. Awareness is about understanding the why behind your patterns. It helps you break free from what's holding you back. So we all know the saying that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So to change your life, you need to change your actions. But first, you need to realize you are not the problem because you are you and the problem is the problem. What often happens is that we associate our identity with our struggles. If you've been telling yourself that I am unlucky or I'm bad with money, your brain will subconsciously sabotage opportunities just to prove that story right. So you might procrastinate applying for a job you are qualified for or lend money to people who don't pay you back. And before an important meeting or interview, you'd get sick or something happens that you show up late. And some of us might even get terribly drunk before the appointment. And all of these are actually self-sabotaging behaviors because you've been telling yourself and the universe that you are not worthy. But the shift comes when you separate yourself from the problem. You will be empowered to reauthor your identity and focus on alternative narratives like your strengths and opportunities. When you say to yourself, I am experiencing financial stress, but that doesn't define me, you reclaim your power and you start asking, what can I do to solve this? Instead of, why does this always happen to me? Like a victim. It's the victim mindset that we need to get out of. And awareness helps to break that autopilot cycle for you to understand why you have negative self-talk, limiting beliefs, or repeatedly attracted toxic relationships. It could be childhood trauma or societal conditioning or old habits, but when you see the cause, you can choose to break from the effects. Just remember that awareness is freedom, and you have the freedom to choose. In our transformation journey, the second thing we tend to overlook is vulnerability. Let's begin by looking at the very word itself. Vulnerability comes from the Latin root vulnerare, which means to wound. So on the surface, it seems to be about exposing ourselves to pain. But here's a fascinating twist. By opening yourself up to hurt is exactly how you heal. And why? Because trauma is like scar tissue in our nervous system. You know, when you suffer a physical injury, your body forms scar tissue to protect the area, and that's actually the part of you that stops growing. It's the same with emotional and psychological pain. The nervous system forms hardened patterns and defenses to prevent us from further suffering and to keep us in a state of protection. In other words, they hold us back. But what can we do about it? Well, science has offered us hope. I'm sure in recent years you've come across neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural pathways. So, in our nervous system, there are networks of neurons that communicate with each other through synapses. And those neural pathways are essential for how we process information, how we interpret and respond to everything that happens. So, every time you choose vulnerability by being authentic or putting yourself out there and trying something new, you are carving new neural pathways. The old ones don't disappear, but the new ones will grow stronger, and over time, your brain will default to the upgraded system. And that's how you rewire your brain and rewrite your destiny through awareness and intentional practice like visualization and affirmation. But the magic ingredient here is vulnerability. As we talk about growth and transformation, a common mistake many of us make is setting the goals too high, too ambitious, and too overwhelming. Imagine if I told you the first step towards your dream body is to stand up now and clap your hands 3 times. You'd do that. But if I said, go run 10 miles to start with, you'd probably shut this video off. So growth isn't about pushing yourself until you collapse. You need to set yourself up for success by pacing yourself with realistic and achievable steps that will lead you in the right direction. So instead of saying, I'm gonna get up at 5 every morning and work out for 2 hours every day and lose 10 kilos by next week, maybe start with 10 minutes of workout a day 3 times a week, or even 5 minutes a day if that's easier to stick to. The key here is to get moving, because when you are stagnant, the energy won't flow, and you're not gonna get unstuck by just sitting there or lying there. So get moving. And tiny achievements do build momentum and provide a sense of accomplishment that will motivate you to keep going. So celebrate the small victories and acknowledge your progress. And most importantly, be happy, because happy, go lucky. When you become healthier, you look better and you feel more confident about yourself. Luck will come your way. And just remind yourself that leveling up is a sustainable journey. You only need to take one small step at a time. And those, my friends, are the 3 things I wanted to share with you. I'd really love to know what you think people overlook in transformation. So please leave a comment below and let's chat. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye!